Hi everyone, my name is Dr. Ariel King, and
So you have already worked with the multinational organizations like United Nations, European Parliament, African Union, national parliaments. So could you please tell us your experience while working with these organizations?
in general, it's been over 30 years that I've been working with these various organizations. And I think that the various organizations are extremely important for society in general and for the world. I think that unfortunately, what's lacking is young people.
So how do you incorporate diplomatic protocol into your international consultancy and strategic business development work?
For me, protocols are just manners. It's the way in which you conduct business. It's a way in which you conduct relationships. So if you look at protocol as a way of conducting relationships, then it's quite simple, isn't it? Do unto others as you would have do unto you. Hi, everyone. My name is Dr. Ariel King, and I'm the president and founder of Ariel Foundation International. It's great to be here today.
Great. So my first question to you is like, how do you approach solving challenges and implementing strategies with limited resources available?
What a great question. I think the first advantage is being a young person, because most of the time you don't think about what's not possible. You just think about, okay, what do I have? What are the possibilities? What resources do I have? And more importantly, many young people are quite hungry and are quite motivated to make things happen, right? We all know the limitations. There's always limitations. But the thing is that most young people, and some older people also, not all, think about what resources can they use. That's where innovation happens, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
you take something that you already have and you use it for something new, right? You repurpose it. But that's not just a matter of things. That's also a matter of techniques. That's also a matter of processes. There's nothing in the world today that we can't use or that we don't have that we didn't have several hundred years ago. It's just a matter of going back and figuring out how can we take new possibilities that we haven't used before for the same old difficulties of life.
Yes, that's so true. So you have already worked with the multinational organizations like United Nations, European Parliament, African Union, national parliaments. So could you please tell us your experience while working with these organizations?
In general, it's been over 30 years that I've been working with these various organizations. And I think that the various organizations are extremely important for society in general and for the world. I think that unfortunately, what's lacking is young people. What's lacking is the engagement of young people. And I'm not talking about engagement of just having you sitting in a meeting and listening to the quote unquote experts talk about life, the actual engagement of young people, because all of the, not just rules, but all of the programs, all of the things, all of the laws that we're going to be implementing all over the world, or excuse me, we're making, are going to be implemented by young people. So if they're not sitting at the table, if they're not helping develop the laws and the programs and all of the various activities around the world that are being implemented, how can you expect them to be successful? Well, they can't. It's impossible. There's no other, most people think, well, you have to be seasoned, you have to be a diplomat. In some ways, it is important to be seasoned, but in other ways, it's also important to be young, because you're not filled with what can't be and how it's not possible. And even more importantly, most young people don't have a vested interest in holding on to the old, because that's what keeps us going, not just financially, but also in terms of our reputation and so on and so forth. So I think that with all the experience I've had at international organizations, we are starting to see people talk about young people. We're starting to see people have youth summits and so on and so forth. But what I haven't seen is actual change of taking youth voices and actually implementing it on a real basis within the power structures that would be.
Yes. So you are so passionate towards the children and youth in leadership, international leadership. So what led you to do this and why you have this passion? Is there any particular reason for it?
What a great question. I think that I was a very lucky young person in that most people that I engaged with, whether they were older than me by 10 years, 20 years, sometimes even 30 years, treated me as me. rather than looking at me as a young person. Oh, you're young, you don't understand, there's so much you don't know. They didn't do that. They looked at me as a person with passion, as a person with questions, as a person with leadership abilities. And even more importantly, they gave me responsibility very early. So they didn't say, for example, oh, you're not old enough, we're not going to give you responsibility. Let me just give you some examples. I think when I was about 20, I was the leader for, we call a hotline. Now you don't have that, where you call up. We had something in the 80s, right, because I'm that old, called AIDS, Acquired Immune Deficiency Syndrome, AIDS. And at the time, we didn't know what it was. We just had no idea. And at 20 years old, by the Life Foundation of Hawaii at the time, I was basically told, okay, you're the director. And so I had to train volunteers, I had to schedule volunteers, and I had to learn how to fulfill the responsibility that was given. That was just at 20. I would say in my mid-20s, I was at the World Health Organization as a stage, right? People talk about working for free. It was the best work for free I've ever done in my life, and I would do it again because I learned so much. But when I arrived there, I didn't have to go get coffee. I didn't have to make copies. My particular mentor, Sev Flus, who is still alive today, basically said, here's your office, there's your name, there's your inbox, get started. And I was in absolute shock because I thought I was going to have an easy in and an easy first couple of days of my internship. It wasn't that it wasn't easy, but he gave me the responsibility, just as any employee at the World Health Organization would have. We were at the time in health legislation, which means laws for health in the entire world. And he trusted me, and he gave me responsibility, and he expected me to meet those responsibilities. Those are just several examples, but I can give you many, many more. So the reason why I'm so passionate about young people and children is because I was afforded that. I was afforded that privilege. I was respected. I was given time. I was given energy. I was given responsibility, and more importantly, I was given the belief in myself that not only can I do it, but they expected that I would do it. And so as a result of what I had, I feel and do the same, because I know that not only does it work, but it really made a difference in my entire life to be respected and seen for who I am, rather than quote unquote my age.
Wow, that's amazing. That's incredible journey. So, how do you incorporate diplomatic protocol into your international consultancy and strategic business development work?
That's a very good question. I mean, first you have to ask, what is protocol? What does it mean? For me, protocols are just manners. It's the way in which you conduct business. It's a way in which you conduct relationships. So if you look at protocol as a way of conducting relationships, then it's quite simple, isn't it? Do unto others as you would have do unto you. So that means that, and it's difficult because when people get around people that they think have power, or they think they're somehow famous or interesting, people kind of lose their minds. They forget that everybody wants to be known for who they are. Everybody wants to be addressed in a respectful manner. Everyone wants to be seen for who they are and not what they can give to the person. This is just a part of protocol. So for me, protocol is just a way of saying, if your family taught you good manners, then you'll do well in protocol when it comes to your business or foundation or any clubs that you're in. It doesn't matter. Protocol is a way of behaving with courtesy and dignity, and even more importantly, with respect for another person. That's all it is.
Yeah, your answer is so amazing, and it is holding a very deep meaning. It's
Yes,
amazing.
thank you.
So, could you please speak about your involvement with Rotary and the impact it has had on your work?
The involvement you mean with the foundation?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, young people are amazing. Young people like yourself. Look what I get to do now. I get to be with you in Win Talks, right? And that's because I have the privilege of speaking with, of engaging with, of learning from young people like you. So my journey so far has been quite interesting in that I have a lot to give. but I also have a lot to gain. And I'm very clear in my understanding that it's a reciprocal relationship between young people, children, and myself. It's not me telling them or telling all of you what's good, what needs to be done, and how things are. Because the truth is, I really don't know the way things are today for a young person. I'm not a young person anymore. I'm now, I would say, years from retiring. So as much as I love young people, as much as I support young people, I'm not young. So what does that mean? It means that it's extremely important that I listen to what you all have to say. It's extremely important that I take aboard your experiences, what you have experienced, because it's not the same as what I've experienced. The world today is not the world yesterday. And
Yes, true.
right. So for me, I think it's really important to learn from children and young people. And I'm really, I do my best to try to encourage other people like myself who are in the close to retirement age to do the same. But it's difficult because I think many people forgot what it was like to be a young person. I think many people
Yes.
just don't remember. And if they would remember, then they would also remember that they were quite bright, they were quite capable, and if they were given a chance, they did a great job.
Yes, learning is the continuous process, but your encouragement towards the retired people, also young people, it's like a full of dedication, and I salute to it. Not everyone has that much dedication towards their passion or towards their work.
Thank you. It's actually an honor. I love it. I really love what I do, and I love learning from young people. I mean, what could be better? I can't imagine what could be better. Maybe
Yes.
the UN meetings and the European meetings and the other meetings having more young people actively engaged in the process, that would be better. For me, that would really make a big difference. I'm not sure if you know this, but when I started, young people couldn't even take a tour of the UN in New York until they were 16 years old. And the first time I started to get young people involved, I was at a meeting at the United Nations. And once again, as we do, we talk. Oh, it's really important to have young people, and it's really important to get them involved. And I think, I don't know if I was hungry or tired, but I kind of said, excuse me, but we've been saying this now for the last 15, 20 years. It was that long. Okay, let's just say 15 years. I finally stood up and said, I really don't understand why we keep talking about it, but I don't see any change. And then they said to me, oh, Dr. King, would you like to do it? Oh, okay. So, so the first meeting that they had at the UN, I was charged with finding or having young people and mentoring them in order to actually speak on the panel and to actively engage. And we had two people chosen by their office at the UN, and there were two people from Korea. And at first I thought to myself, well, Korea's Asia, so we do representation by, I don't know, by continent. I don't know if you know that. But then I said to myself, I'd rather have two young people from Korea than zero young people from anywhere in the world. So we started with these two dynamic people, a young man and a young woman. They did fantastic on the panel. They did a great job. I was able to do all of my mothering and my caretaking, which I love to do because I love young people. And after that, then it developed into allowing young people to go to the United Nations because a delegate has no age. Most people don't know that, but since I've been with the UN for 30 years and I know the rules, I understood that the word delegate, if you are a delegate, there's no age. So then I was able to actually enroll young people as delegates to the United Nations in order to actually go to meetings and participate. So we were the first people to break the barrier of young people going to United Nations meetings as participants.
Wow, that's great. That's amazing. So, what challenges like you see when you face international affairs and business in the next decade, and how can organization prepare for them?
You know, I think one of the biggest challenges that we're having is people are starting to recede in terms of getting to know each other, respect each other, and work with each other. I see people becoming more isolated again rather than
Yes.
more universal. I see people finding more differences than commonality. I see people focused on the other, right? I'm this,
Yes.
they're the other. And I think one of the biggest challenges, unfortunately, is that we have started to have difficulties with getting to know each other, respecting each other. And I won't say tolerating. Tolerating is not a nice word because tolerating isn't positive. I would say respecting, accepting, and understanding. And so I believe that we've gone, I won't say backwards, but I think that we've gone in the opposite direction. I'm not sure if it's as a result of being locked down and not having as many social times. I don't know what it is, but I think that's going to be a challenge. And I believe the second challenge is going to be integration of youth. There was a time when we would separate people by their nationality. Oh, if you're this nationality, you can't participate. Religion. Oh, if you're this religion, you can't participate. Gender, right? Women. Oh, if you're a woman, you can't participate. So
Yes.
I think it's going to get to the point of young people, nothing about us without us. And the truth is, everything that happens in the world right now, and I do mean everything, is about young people. Every single thing, because you're all the ones that are going to have to come behind us, try to clean up any mess that we make, and try to actually fix whatever we have not done correctly because we didn't include you. So I think that the future is going to include many companies, many organizations trying to figure out how to include young people, because the truth is they just don't know how to engage all of you because they've forgotten who they are. They just
Mm,
don't remember. So I think that the future is going to have young people actively engaged in various companies, in various organizations, including international organizations, local organizations. And I think it's going to be wonderful, but at the same time, very difficult because people have to learn how to engage young people.
yes.
It's not the same as engaging someone like myself.
Yes. So it's from your answer, it's quite clear that you're a motivational speaker also. So what are some of the key messages you strive to communicate to your audience?
Well, audiences differ, don't they? So when I
Yes.
think of an audience, I just think of people. And then I think of, I'm a person, what would be important to me? So for my foundation and always for my life, I look at the quote by Hillel, which is, if I am not for myself, who will be for me? If I am only for myself, what am I? If not
Yes.
now, then when? And I've
Mhm.
added, if not me, then who? And this is what guides my life. These are questions that allow me to re-navigate and to readjust my, especially my moral compass to what I want to do today and how I want to engage with the world, including children and young people.
Wow, got it. So in your background, I can see a man with a blue face and eye. So
Oh, yes,
what does
as
it
a child.
symbolize? Yeah, what does it symbolize like?
Well, this is the logo that was made for the foundation, I think 20 years ago. Our foundation is 20 years old. And
Mm-hmm.
you can't see, let me see if I can, is it's actually a child's face
Yes.
within the world. So basically, when I asked to have the logo made, it symbolizes that children all over the world are important equally.
Wow, what
So
a
it's children
deep
and
message.
youth, that even within the logo, we make it clear that children and youth all over the world are not the future, but are today, our leaders today. You're all important today, not tomorrow, but today.
Yes, true. Okay, so that's all from my side, Ariel. Do you want to add anything in the end?
No, I want to say thank you so much for interviewing me. I'm so proud of all that what you're doing. Bravo, and keep up the wonderful work. And anytime you'd like me to come back to talk about anything specific in terms of
Yes,
the United Nations, the Parliament, or companies, for example, business, I would love to come. So thank you once again for the
definitely.
invitation.
See you soon. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.